My daughter stared at the tablet screen and asked, "Mom, what is that?" I looked down and my blood went cold, because the notification banner wasn't for a game or homework. It was a name I recognized from whispers at school, followed by a line of text no child should ever read. In that 1 second, I understood something terrifying. Someone in this house had handed my 10-year-old a device that was never supposed to be in her hands. My name is Laura. My daughter is Mia, and she just turned 10. We're living in my brother Mark's house because I lost my job, then had to sell my tiny apartment, and then ran out of places to pretend this was just a setback. Outsiders call it temporary. I call it a test of endurance. Mia and I share a small back room. No lock, no real privacy, but it has a thin door, a lamp that still works, and a corner where Mia keeps her stuffed bear and coloring pencils. For now, that's what I call safe. Mark's wife, Karen, runs this house like it's a showroom. Perfect counters, the right candles, a smile calibrated for witnesses. Karen's son, Ethan, is 13, tall, athletic, loud in the way boys are allowed to be loud. Teachers adore him. Coaches count on him. My mother calls him a natural leader, like leadership is something he deserves by default. Mia is different. She's 10, small for her age, careful with her words. She says sorry when someone else bumps into her. She's so good that adults forget she's still a kid. That's the problem with being easy. People stop protecting you. Mark didn't invite us here out of generosity alone. He invited us because family helps family, and because my mother said it in a tone that made it sound like a rule, not a choice. I pay what I can with groceries, laundry, and invisible labor. Cooking, cleaning, staying out of the way. Karen calls it pitching in. I call it renting space with my dignity. Mia has learned the house rules without anyone spelling them out. Don't be loud. Don't touch Karen's decor. Don't interrupt when adults are talking. And never, ever make Ethan look bad. Ethan can slam doors and get a boys will be boys shrug. Mia drops a spoon and apologizes 3 times. Mia's birthday fell on a Saturday, so the family decided on a small party in Mark's living room. Karen hung streamers and arranged cupcakes like she was filming a tutorial. My mother arrived early with a gift bag and that bright, performative energy that means she expects praise. Mark tried to keep it light, grilling hot dogs, laughing a little too hard at nothing. Mia sat on the rug with her hands folded in her lap, waiting to be told it was her turn. Ethan bounced around the room like the spotlight was built into him. When we sang, Ethan sang the loudest. When Mia blew out her candles, she did it quickly, like taking up space should be done fast and quietly. After cake and photos, Karen disappeared down the hall and came back carrying a large, shiny box. "This is from all of us," she announced, voice bright. "For Mia." Mia's eyes widened. Then she tried to tame them back into polite. She glanced at me, quick and nervous, like she needed permission to believe. "Me?" she asked, and her voice came out small. Karen placed the box on Mia's lap. "Go on," she said, smiling at the room. Mia peeled back the paper slowly, like the gift might evaporate if she moved too fast. Under the wrapping was a sleek white package with a familiar logo, a tablet. Not a cheap toy, a real one. The kind Ethan would get without anyone making a speech about it. Mia stared like she'd been handed proof she mattered. "For me? Really?" she whispered. I felt my own shock rise. We had never been given anything that expensive, not once since I'd moved back here. Karen leaned down and patted Mia's shoulder. "For online learning," she said. "You know, to make school easier." It sounded reasonable. Too reasonable. Karen loved reasonable. Reasonable was how she disguised control. My mother nodded approvingly. "So she can keep up," she said, as if Mia wasn't already doing everything right. Mark smiled, but his eyes looked tired. Ethan leaned in the doorway, watching, smirking like he already knew the ending. Mia hugged the box to her chest. She didn't even open it right away. She just held it. Later, when the living room got loud again and Ethan disappeared upstairs, Mia tugged my sleeve. "Can we go to our room?" she asked, trying to sound casual. Yeah, honey, I said. Let's go. In our tiny back room, Mia opened the box carefully, reverently. The tablet sat in its cradle, smooth and glossy, like a promise. I can't believe they got me this, she said, and I wanted to let her have that moment. I wanted to be the mom who didn't poison joy with suspicion. Mia pressed the power button. The screen lit up and jumped straight to a home screen full of apps. No setup screen. No hello. No language selection. Mia blinked. It's already on? I grabbed the first lie that could keep her happy. Maybe it's refurbished, I said too fast. That's normal. She nodded because she wanted to believe me. Then a banner slid down from the top. One unread message. Mia leaned closer, squinting, then looked up at me with that open trust kids have. Mom, what is that? I leaned in, and the words hit like ice water. A name I recognized. A message preview that didn't belong anywhere near a child. I didn't scream. I forced my face into calm. That's weird, I said lightly. Let me see. Mia handed it to me without hesitation, and the second my fingers touched the screen, I felt the floor shift under my life. The first thing that hit me wasn't one message. It was the volume. Hundreds of entries, threads that didn't end, a routine of cruelty, organized like a habit. I told Mia, go brush your teeth. We'll finish setting it up in a minute. I kept my voice gentle and bright, like I wasn't terrified. She padded into the bathroom humming. The door clicked shut. The second it closed, I picked the tablet up again. No passcode. No login. It opened like it belonged to whoever last used it. The message app loaded into an inbox already full of history. I tapped the unread notification. A long thread appeared, and my stomach tightened immediately. The sender's name was a smug nickname, not a real contact. The target's name, though, was real. Sophie. I knew that name, not personally, but through the way it traveled in whispers. Parents lowering voices at pickup, teachers suddenly careful, kids stopping mid-sentence when an adult got close. Sophie had been in Ethan's grade. Her family had moved away abruptly months earlier. No goodbye. No explanation. One mom at the bus stop had said, her parents went to the police, like calling the police was the scandal. Now Sophie's name was inside my 10-year-old's birthday present. I scrolled. The tone didn't reset. It didn't soften. It escalated, then repeated. Mocking. Threats disguised as jokes. Instructions to delete things. Screenshots of other chats. The same pressure, over and over, like someone was trying to wear a kid down until she broke. I backed out and checked the call log next. The same few numbers popped up, repeatedly missed calls. Back-to-back attempts. The kind of persistence people use when they're trying to intimidate. Contacts were messy. Random numbers, stupid nicknames, entries that looked intentionally vague, like someone didn't want anything traced back to a real person. A folder labeled S sat in the Files app. I didn't open it. I just stared at it, sick, because the label felt like a smirk. Whoever used this device wasn't careless. They were comfortable. I backed out and checked the email app. More threads. More subject lines that made my skin crawl. There were attachments, screenshots, files, things labeled like evidence. I checked the gallery, because my brain was stuck on one setting, assess danger. I regretted it instantly. There were photo thumbnails that looked like they were taken without consent. Angles too low, moments too private, the kind of violation you recognize without needing to see detail. There were videos, too. I did not press play. I couldn't. I turned the screen off like I could erase what I'd seen by force. I kept thinking about Sophie as a real child, not a headline. A kid who used to sit in a classroom and raise her hand, who had a backpack and a lunchbox, who probably begged her parents not to make a fuss because embarrassed children think silence is safer. The messages on this tablet felt like hands reaching through the screen, still trying to grab her. And then the worst realization. If this device could be moved once, it could be moved again. If my family was willing to hide it with Mia, they'd be willing to shift blame onto Mia too. An accidental message sent from her account. A teacher hearing her name and making assumptions. One rumor in a school hallway can follow a child for years. This wasn't a harmless, forgot to reset situation. It wasn't someone being careless with a used device. This was evidence, and someone had moved it into my child's room. Denial tried to help. Maybe Karen bought it secondhand and didn't know. Maybe Mark grabbed an old tablet in a rush. Maybe. But Karen didn't do rush. Karen didn't do accidental. Karen did curated, controlled, on purpose. And Ethan. Ethan was the center of this household's universe. If something needed protection, it would be him. If something needed sacrifice, it would be whoever was easiest. Mia laughed in the bathroom, rinsing her toothbrush, completely unaware. That sound made something fierce rise in my chest. I could not risk her tapping the wrong app and seeing something that would live in her brain forever. I could not let her be connected to this, even by association. So I started documenting. I took photos of the thread list. I captured Sophie's name. I photographed timestamps and app screens showing the device wasn't reset. I didn't open the worst files, but I recorded enough to prove they were there. Then I turned off notifications and set the tablet face down on the bed like a contaminated plate. When Mia came back in, she bounced onto the mattress. "Can I use it now?" she asked, already dreaming of drawing apps and games. My heart broke. "Not tonight," I said softly. "It needs updates. Tomorrow." Her smile dipped for a second, then returned, obedient. "Okay." She fell asleep fast, curled around her stuffed bear, because 10-year-olds still believe birthdays are safe. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, listening to the house settle. Somewhere downstairs, I heard murmured voices, low, tense, controlled. The kind of voices adults use when they're trying not to be overheard. I slipped out of bed and padded into the hallway. I moved slowly, careful not to creak the floor. Then I heard Karen's voice, thin and urgent. "We can't keep that tablet in Ethan's room." My body went cold. My mother replied, calm as if discussing groceries. "She's sweet," she said. "She doesn't understand anything." Mark's voice followed, tired. "As long as it's not in Ethan's room, it's fine." Karen exhaled, sharp. "Now it's Mia's." There was a pause, just long enough for my brain to catch up. Then my mother said, almost satisfied, "Exactly." I pressed my hand to the wall to steady myself. They hadn't forgotten. They hadn't overlooked anything. They had moved it, on purpose, and my daughter was the hiding place. I didn't storm downstairs. I didn't confront them on the spot. Because in families like mine, confrontation without proof turns into you being dramatic while they quietly clean up behind you. So I did the smart thing. I pulled out my phone and hit record. I stood in the hallway shadow, heart hammering, afraid the sound would give me away. Karen whispered, "What if someone connects it to him? If the school? If the police?" My mother cut her off with a tired sigh. "They can't connect it to Ethan if it isn't with Ethan," she said. "That's why we moved it." Mark's voice came next, low and strained. "We're already on their radar." "Because it was serious," my mother snapped. And for a second, I almost felt relief until Karen said, voice small, "I didn't think it would get this far." Mark's chair creaked. "It got this far because Ethan wouldn't stop." The air left my lungs. Not a mistake. Not a misunderstanding. "Wouldn't stop." Karen rushed in. "He's a kid, Mark. 13. People are acting like he's— And Mia isn't," my mother said sharply. My pulse jumped. For half a second, I thought she meant, "Mia isn't a kid. Don't drag her into this." But then she finished, casual and cruel. "Mia's easier." I bit down hard on the inside of my cheek to keep from making a sound. Karen whispered, "Laura is going to notice." My mother replied smoothly, "She already thinks it's used. She'll complain, but she won't do anything. She never does." Mark didn't argue. His silence sat heavy in the room. Karen said, "Sophie's parents aren't dropping it. They already went to the police." My mother sounded annoyed at other people's morals. "They're making it worse," she said. If they'd stayed quiet, it would have blown over, Mark muttered. It doesn't blow over when there are screenshots. Karen's voice rose, panicked. So what now? My mother answered like she was giving directions. Now it stays with Mia. If anyone asks, it was her birthday gift. If anyone checks, it's in her room. In her hands, Karen hissed. But she's 10. And she's good, my mother said dismissively. She'll be fine. Then Mark said, at least it won't be in Ethan's room if they search. Karen let out a tight laugh. Laura thinks her daughter is perfect. Maybe this will knock her down a peg. My mother chuckled softly. She needs to toughen up, both of them. Something in me went perfectly still. Because it wasn't just about protecting Ethan. It was about using Mia, about punishing me, about choosing the golden boy, and tossing the easy child in front of the bus. I backed away from the hallway as quietly as I could. I didn't breathe until I was back in our room and the door was shut. Mia slept curled around her bear, face soft, unaware. I stared at her and felt clarity harden into something like steel. I played the recording back once, just enough to confirm it was real. It was. Now I had proof, and I had a choice. Freeze or move. I packed without turning on the overhead light. A backpack, 2 outfits for Mia, underwear, her toothbrush, her inhaler, chargers, my wallet, keys. I added her favorite book because even in crisis, a child needs something familiar. I slipped the tablet into a bag, careful not to wake the screen. At dawn, the house was quiet. I nudged Mia awake. Hey, baby, I whispered. Want to go on a surprise adventure? Her eyes blinked open, then brightened. Adventure? Yeah, I said, forcing cheer into my voice. We're going to see Sandra. Mia sat up instantly. Can I bring Mr. Bear? Yes, I said, throat tight. Before we left, I texted Sandra with one thumb while Mia pulled on socks. Can we come over right now? Her reply came back instantly. Yes. Are you okay? I wrote, I'll explain when I get there, and stared at her yes like it was a life raft. As I opened the front door, I felt the weight of what I was doing. Leaving meant admitting the people I grew up with weren't safe. It meant cutting the last thread of maybe. But when I looked at Mia's sleepy smile, the decision stopped being complicated. Downstairs, the kitchen light snapped on as we came in. My mother stood by the coffee maker. Karen leaned on the counter, arms folded. Mark sat at the table, staring into his mug like he could disappear into it. Karen's eyes flicked to my backpack. Where are you going? Out for a bit, I said calmly. Sleepover. My mother's smile tightened. A sleepover? Today? Mia nodded, thrilled. Sleepover! Mark's gaze sharpened, like he sensed control slipping. Karen watched me too closely. Then Ethan stomped into the kitchen in a hoodie, hair messy, and looked at Mia. His mouth twitched into a smirk. That smirk confirmed what I already knew. I didn't argue. I didn't explain. I just took my daughter's hand and walked out the door. In the car, Mia swung her legs, humming. Then she looked up, uncertainty creeping in. Mom, did I do something wrong? My heart cracked. No, I said instantly. Never. Not ever. I squeezed her hand. I promise. And I drove straight to Sandra's house. Sandra opened her door before I finished knocking. One look at my face, and she didn't ask for small talk. She just stepped aside. Come in. Mia ran past us, delighted by Sandra's dog, by snacks, by the novelty of being somewhere she wasn't tiptoeing around adults. Children pivot so fast when they feel safe. Sandra poured hot chocolate and put on a movie. Then she pulled me into the kitchen. What happened? She asked. I set the bag on the table and pulled out the tablet like it was a live wire. They gave this to Mia, I said. Not as a gift, as a hiding place. Sandra's eyes narrowed. What's on it? I told her. The already used home screen. The messages. Sophie's name. The gallery. Then I played her a short clip of my recording my mother's voice saying, Mia's easier. Sandra's face changed from shock to anger in a heartbeat. Laura, that's insane. I need Mia safe here, I said. A few days. Maybe longer. Of course, she said immediately. As long as you need. I swallowed hard. Don't tell her details, I whispered. She shouldn't carry this. Sandra nodded. Go. Do what you need to do. I knelt beside Mia in the living room. I have to run an errand, I said lightly. Sandra's going to hang out with you, okay? Mia grinned at the screen. Can we have popcorn? Sandra smiled. Absolutely. I kissed Mia's forehead and left before I could change my mind. The police station was bright and bland and normal. Fluorescent lights, muted voices, paperwork, the kind of place where the world's worst stories get told in the same tone people use to order coffee. At the desk, I said, I need to report something involving a device given to my child. The officer looked up. Okay, tell me what happened. So I did. I kept it factual. A birthday party, a tablet gifted to my 10-year-old, the device not reset, content that appeared tied to harassment and an ongoing school situation, a student named Sophie, and a recorded conversation where family members admitted they moved the device to keep it out of Ethan's room. I handed over the tablet. I handed over my phone. The officer didn't react like it was unbelievable. He listened, then nodded slowly. We've had a report involving a Sophie, he said. Do you know her last name? I told him. His eyebrows lifted a fraction, like something clicked. That helps, he said, and that sentence was colder than comfort and warmer than any lie my family ever gave me. It meant this wasn't just suspicion, it was connected. They asked who had access to the device, how long it had been in the house, whether Mia had seen anything, whether Ethan had ever used Mia's room. I answered carefully. Mia saw a notification only. I removed it immediately, and she doesn't know details. The officer told me not to discuss the content with other family members, not to warn them, and not to attempt my own investigation. Let us handle the digital forensics, he said, and the calm certainty in his tone made me realize how deep this already was. When I signed the statement, my hand finally trembled, not because I doubted what I was doing, but because I knew I'd just lit a match in a room full of gasoline and my family had been living on fumes for years. They logged everything, bagged the device, asked me to walk through dates and names. I answered calmly, because panic wouldn't protect Mia, and protecting Mia was the only thing that mattered. Before I left, they gave me a case number. A detective will follow up, the officer said. If anyone contacts you, save it. They will, I said. Back at Sandra's, Mia was wrapped in a blanket, giggling at the movie, bear tucked under her chin. Mom, she said. Did you fix it? Not yet, I said evenly. It has to be checked first. I'll explain later, not tonight. She accepted it with a shrug, because kids trust you to hold the heavy things. My phone buzzed the moment I sat down. Then again. Missed calls stacked up. My mother, Mark, Karen, Ethan. I waited until Mia was distracted, then answered on speaker in Sandra's kitchen. Karen's voice hit first. What were you thinking? My mother over her. Are you out of your mind? Mark cut in, sharp. You went to the police? I stayed silent. Let them talk. Let them show their cards. Karen spat. He's a child, Laura. You're ruining his future. My mother snapped. This didn't need to go this far, Mark said. They're asking questions about Sophie. About that tablet. No denial, no confusion, just panic about consequences. You knew, I said quietly. You gave it to my daughter on purpose. Karen scoffed. She would have been fine. Fine, I repeated. You used Mia as a hiding spot. My mother sighed, like I was inconvenient. Don't be dramatic. We were handling it. By dumping evidence on a 10-year-old? I asked. A pause. Too long. Mark finally said, we had to get it out of Ethan's room. And why was it in Ethan's room? I asked. Karen's voice rose. Because you're making this bigger than it is. I laughed once, bitter. The police don't investigate not big, I said. Karen's panic cracked through. Ethan could get suspended. My mother added, You don't understand what you're doing to this family. I looked at the closed living room door, heard Mia laugh, and something inside me settled. This conversation is over, I said. Laura, Mark started. I'm done, I said. Do not contact me again. Not me. Not Mia. Not through her school. Not through anyone. I hung up, then blocked every number. 2 hours. That's how long it took from birthday excitement to a case number that shattered the family illusion. And the wild part? The longer I sat in Sandra's quiet house, the more I realized the shattering felt like relief. 6 months later, my life is quiet, real quiet. Not the kind of quiet where you're holding your breath waiting for yelling. The kind where you can make dinner without flinching at footsteps. The kind where your phone lighting up doesn't make your stomach drop before you even see the name. After that call, I didn't go back to Mark's house. Not for closure. Not for one last talk. I'd spent my whole life doing talks that ended with me apologizing for being upset. Instead, I did boring, practical things. I filed for no contact. I notified Mia's school in writing. I gave them photos, names, and a clear list of who was not allowed near my child. I changed passwords. I turned on two-factor security for everything I could. I made sure Mia knew one simple rule. If anyone from that house ever tried to talk to her alone, she was to find a teacher immediately. I didn't tell her the ugly details. I told her the truth in a shape a 10-year-old could carry. Some adults made unsafe choices, and it's my job to keep you safe. For a while, Mia asked about the tablet like kids ask about a lost toy. Is it fixed yet? Are we getting it back? I told her it had problems inside, and grown-ups needed to keep it. She accepted it because what she really wanted wasn't a tablet. What she wanted was to feel chosen, so I chose her. Loudly. Completely. Within a month, we moved into a small apartment across town. It's nothing fancy. The carpet is worn. The bathroom fan sounds like a helicopter, but it's ours. Mia has her own room, her own door, and a lock if she wants it. The first night, she walked in, stared at the empty walls, and said, "It feels peaceful." That word cracked something open in me. Peaceful. Like she'd been carrying tension for years and didn't know it had a name. I found a new job a few weeks later. Nothing glamorous, but steady. Sandra watched Mia after school until I could afford a sitter. Sometimes I'd come home and find Mia laughing with Sandra's dog, and I'd feel the strange gratitude of people who build family out of kindness instead of obligation. The fallout from Mark's house reached me anyway. They tried to reach us anyway. Karen showed up once at Mia's school by coincidence, smiling like nothing happened. The office called me, and I drove there shaking with rage. I didn't yell. I handed them the no-contact paperwork and asked them to document the visit. Karen's smile cracked when she realized the building had cameras. My mother mailed a letter to Sandra's address, pretending it was for Mia. I returned it unopened. Mark tried a mutual cousin. I told the cousin, calmly, that anyone who passed messages would be blocked too. The attempt slowed, then stopped. Control only works when you play the game. Mia started seeing the school counselor not because she knew the full story, but because transitions are hard, and kids still feel the tension adults think they're hiding. After a few weeks, she told me, "I don't feel like I'm in trouble all the time anymore." I had to step into the bathroom and breathe through tears. Families like mine leak information like cracked pipes. Slow, constant, unavoidable. Ethan was suspended first. Then the school widened the investigation. Discipline review, someone called it. Then transfer. Not the clean kind where you get a fresh start. The kind where people stop making eye contact and adults suddenly speak in careful sentences. Karen tried to control the narrative. She told relatives I'd overreacted. She told neighbors I was unstable. She cried about her son's future, like the only victim in the story was her. But outside the family bubble, those words don't work the same way. Once police have a device, once there's a case number, once there are screenshots and timestamps, people stop shrugging. Mark and my mother didn't go to prison, but they didn't walk away untouched. I heard about mandatory classes, community service. Probation consequences that sound mild until you realize they come with public records and quiet judgment from everyone who used to admire your perfect family. Then, one afternoon, I got a short email from Sophie's parents. We started new traditions in our small apartment: pancakes on Saturdays, a yes jar where we write small things we want to do: picnic, library day, paint nails, and pull one out when life feels heavy. On Mia's next birthday, it was just the two of us and Sandra, and the best present was watching Mia open a simple art set without flinching, without looking around for someone's approval first. Sometimes I still get angry, not at the loss of them, but at how long I stayed. But anger has become information now, not a weapon I turn on myself. It reminds me, I did what I had to do, as fast as I could, with what I had. No drama, no long story. Just gratitude and relief because someone finally handed the police something concrete. I cried when I read it, quietly, in my small kitchen, while Mia colored at the table. I cried because Sophie's parents had been fighting alone, and because my child had been used as a storage unit for someone else's wrongdoing. I deleted the email after, not because it didn't matter, but because I didn't need proof anymore. My proof was Mia. She's different now, not the careful, permission-seeking version of happy, the loud one, the messy one. She laughs without checking anyone's face first. She sings while she brushes her teeth again. She takes up space like she's allowed. Do I miss my family? I miss the idea of them, the family I wanted. The one where a birthday gift was just a gift, and adults protected children instead of trading them like shields. But that family never existed. This one does. It's small, it's imperfect, it's honest, and I learned something I wish I'd learned sooner. Family isn't blood. Family is who refuses to sacrifice your child for their comfort. So, did I go too far? Or not far enough? Tell me in the comments. And if you want more stories like this, hit subscribe, follow, so you don't miss the next one.